Hello. I don't know when you are listening to this. Perhaps it's a gray early morning. Or a late, silent night where the only sound is the hum of your room. Wherever you are in the world, if you have paused here, I believe there is an invisible thread connecting us. It's the thread of lonely souls trying to find a way out of the relentless whirlpool we call the market. I created this channel, WalkAloneTrading, not to show off green profit screenshots or to lecture you on technical indicators. I am here to tell you a story, a raw, unfiltered story about a man who once believed his life was perfectly calculated on sheets of technical blueprints. Before 2020, I was an engineer. Engineering is the profession of rules. My life back then was enclosed in large format drawings. Technical figures accurate to the millimeter. Dry budget estimates, and dusty construction sites. I lived a flat life. Work in the morning, home in the evening, satisfied with a stable paycheck. I never thought I'd be a trader. To me, finance was a foreign galaxy, a gamble played by men in suits in glass skyscrapers. I preferred the certainty of concrete structures over the fleeting numbers on a screen. But life is never as flat as a design blueprint. Then, 2020 arrived. The world stopped, and my life stopped with it. The COVID-19 storm didn't just bring a virus, it swept away the stability I was so proud of. Projects froze, construction sites went silent, and then came the day I received my termination notice. The feeling was strange. It wasn't anger, it was a vague, cold fear. I stood before the mirror, looking at the engineer staring back, and asked, "Who am I now? What will I do to survive when the world outside is closing its doors?" I was trapped within four walls. My phone and TV became my only windows to the world. And as you know, when you are desperate and longing for a way out, social media algorithms feed you pink-colored dreams. I began seeing videos about trading. People talked about working from home, financial freedom, and touches of a button that brought in thousands of dollars. The ego of an engineer began to stir. I told myself, I have solved complex mathematical problems. I have designed massive structures. Surely, a few red and green charts won't be my downfall? I entered trading with that very arrogance. No knowledge, no mentor, just a naive belief that I was smarter than the market. I started with international exchanges. My first trade wasn't gold or currencies. I chose commodities, soybean oil, corn, wheat, coffee. I thought these tangible things would be easier to understand. But the market taught me its first lesson. It doesn't care who you are, how good you are at math, or how much you need the money. It simply is. Late 2020 and early 2021 was a period of true intoxication. There were trades I won, and that feeling was terrifying. Why do I say terrifying? Because it gave me an illusion. When you win without knowing why you won, it is the beginning of a disaster. I started calculating. If I make this much in a day, I'll have that much in a month. I began to look down on my old, boring engineering job. But then, the market began to take it all back, principal and profit. The sleepless nights spent bag holding soybean oil began. I watched that tiny dot on the chart in freefall, and every time it dropped, my heart tightened. The savings accumulated from years on construction sites, sweating under the sun, evaporated in a few clicks. I remember a night at the end of 2021. I sat alone in a dark room. The only light coming from the phone screen displaying the words, "Margin call." I had lost everything. That emptiness. It wasn't just about the money. It was the collapse of a belief system. I felt like a criminal, a total failure. From a reliable engineer, I had become a penniless ghost, lonely in my own room. I didn't dare tell anyone. How could I explain this madness to my family? That was when I truly understood the meaning of loneliness in this profession. When you win, no one truly shares the joy. When you lose, no one can carry the burden with you. You are, utterly, on your own. After that fall, I had two choices. One was to give up and crawl back to an office job with a lingering sense of shame. The other was to learn again from scratch, but this time, to learn as a true apprentice, not an arrogant wanderer. I chose the second path. Between 2022 and 2023, I turned to Forex, gold, and Bitcoin. I read everything I could, but I wasn't looking for a holy grail. I was looking for the answer to one question: why am I afraid? I studied psychology and risk management before I ever learned how to place an order. 2022 was still a year of losses. But one thing was different. I stopped blowing accounts. The losses were smaller, controlled. I finally learned how to cut a loss, something my engineering ego never allowed before. I realized that in trading, being wrong isn't shameful. Refusing to admit you were wrong is suicide. I began to detach myself from groups and forums. I realized the more opinions I heard, the more cluttered my mind became. I chose to walk alone. Every morning, I would walk, watch the sky, and remind myself that the market is always there. Opportunities are always there. It's only our patience that disappears. Now, in 2024 and these early months of 2025, things have started to change. There was no miracle. Just after thousands of hours of observation and hundreds of moments of pain, I began to feel the breath of the price action. Profits began to emerge. They are small. They won't buy me a luxury car or a mansion tomorrow. But they gave me something more precious: quiet confidence. I no longer shout when I win. And I no longer hit the desk when I lose. I accept everything as part of the game. Looking back at the journey from 2020 until now, I see that I have become a completely different person. Trading has molded me, breaking down the rigid ego of an engineer to build a soul that knows how to listen and observe. I created WalkAloneTrading because I know there are many people out there just like me. People who are struggling with blueprints, office jobs, or the weight of making a living, and happen to stumble into this world. You might be losing. You might feel the world turning its back on you as your account bleeds red. I am here to tell you, walking alone doesn't mean you are on the wrong path. Sometimes, loneliness is the best teacher. We have to learn how to grow. In the upcoming episodes, I will tell you more, not about how to read candles, but about how we face greed at 2 a.m., how we overcome the agony of losing hard-earned money, and how we find peace amidst the violent waves of finance. If you see yourself in my story, stay a while. We will walk together, though each on our own path. At least, we will understand the language of each other's hearts. Thank you for listening to this first episode. I wish you a quiet day and a steady mind. I am Walk Alone, and I will see you in the next story.